So it's time to address the elephant in the room: overcoming stage fright. So let me ask you, do you have a fear of public speaking? Because if you do, you're certainly not alone. In fact, public speaking actually outranks death as people's top fear. Many of the most famous people that were in the public eye and on stage had a fear of speaking in front of people. So, for example, Elvis Presley had severe stage fright to the extent that it gave him severe anxiety every time he had to perform. People like Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett also had stage fright and had to find ways to move past it to share what they wanted to share with the world. As Jerry Seinfeld points out in his stand-up routine, this means that the average person going to a funeral would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy. So the question is, why is public speaking so scary for so many people? It's because as humans, we are hardwired to seek approval and to want to fit in socially. This is because we want to feel like we belong and that we can conform. In fact, we will conform to things even if they are obviously incorrect or against our belief systems. There have been many studies that proved this. And in fact, Joel did experiments in his psychology class to show his students the power of conformity. They printed out signs that resembled bathroom signs for men and women and put them on the doors that go into the building, labeling one for women and one for men. And then they observed that people would automatically move to open the door that correlated with their sex. Now, alternatively, he also had the students that came in early all put their heads down on the table to see how many of the students that came in later would follow their lead. And the late arrivers automatically came in, looked around, and then put their heads down without asking any questions. So the need to conform is caused by a primitive part of our brain that drives us as social creatures. So when you think about the potential negative consequences of messing up a presentation, a part of your brain called the hypothalamus activates and triggers the pituitary gland to secrete the hormones ACTH, that in turn activates the adrenal glands in your kidneys to release adrenaline. This then sends our bodies into fight or flight. In other words, you get anxious about speaking because your body and mind is trying to protect you. How nice of it! Your brain will continue to react with fear to protect you until you teach it that there is nothing to protect you from. So next, I will go over some strategies you can use to overcome that fear. In the videos that follow, we will be exploring additional tools and methods. So the first thing is acceptance. The more we resist something, the worse it will feel. In other words, accept that it is normal to feel this way and that it is not something wrong with you. The second one is to know your why and remind yourself of it. So why do you want to speak to people? In what way do you want to help others? If you have a big enough reason why and you remind yourself of it, it will help reduce your anxiety. Another thing that you can do is to visualize success. When you visualize, your mind does not know the difference between what is happening in your reality, in the now, and what you are creating in your imagination. So the picture that you have in your mind of yourself feeling confident as you walk onto the stage, enjoying giving the presentation, and people being blown away by what you have shared, that vision makes all the difference. You can imagine a standing ovation or picture the smiles on the audience members' faces and hear how others are sharing with you what an amazing job you did. And the more that you visualize, the more the brain will try to reproduce it because it will see it as reality. Then, when it comes time to actually give your presentation, your mind will feel more confident as it will recognize what you're doing as an action that it's already done many times in the mind. This is why it's important to visualize the best possible outcome instead of worrying over the worst case scenario. Many people, from speakers or performers to professional athletes, use visualization. As you get closer to the day of your event, visualize it every night before you go to bed and when you get up in the morning. This will help create the routine and solidify in your mind the success that you will have. And so another idea is to create a ritual. We are creatures of habits, and we can use habits or rituals to get us in the right state of mind. So, for example, if you have a ritual before you go to bed, then your body recognizes that it's time to go to sleep. So when you lay down, your body will be ready. In fact, rituals give us comfort and help the body and mind feel at ease to deal with uncertainty. Rituals serve as triggers to get you in the emotional state that you want to be in and to help you remember things. So, you can do the same things to prepare for your presentation. For example, you can play a song every time right before you practice your presentation, and then play that song again before you do the actual presentation. Another idea is you could do a quick meditation or have a piece of jewelry that you put on every time you practice and so on. You can then use your ritual on the day of your presentation to get your mind and body ready to give an amazing presentation. And so the last idea I'm going to talk about is getting into character. One tool that some presenters use is to create a character that they play during their presentation. And so when they're going to do a presentation, they get into character. This character might have a nickname, and it has the characteristics that you want to have that would make you feel confident. What would be this character's actions, their thoughts, their mannerisms? Once you determine your character, embody him or her whenever you practice. That way, it's easier to become that character when you have to perform.